anyone who has been frequenting the streams knows that I've been obsessed with 환승연애. Okay, so what is 환승연애? 환승연애, or transit love, is a Korean dating show where you appear with your ex and you go into a house with other people who are also there with their ex, and no one knows who each other's exes are. And like you spend like a month together in this house, and then like after a month the exes are revealed, and then you can decide if you want to leave with your ex or leave with someone new. And what's great about this show is that it is so messy. It is so messy. And I would say like this is one of the more fun seasons in terms of mess. So yeah, we're just going to recap it. We're going to recap episode 1 through 8. And I did write this entire presentation in Korean because I wanted to practice my Korean. And like later when I upload this to YouTube, I'm going to add Korean subtitles so that like audiences in Korea can like understand it and see like a foreigner's perspective on the show. As you guys know, I do speak Korean. However, in terms of spelling and things like that, it's not like really great. I did double check before putting this up, but there probably will be some errors that I didn't catch. I am my own editor. I don't have anyone to practice Korean with. This is how I'm practicing Korean, okay? So just, you know, like have pity on me or whatever. 저는 한국 사람 아닙니다. 그냥 드라마 보면서 배웠습니다. All right, let's get right into it. I'm so excited. I've been waiting to do this for so long. All right, episode 1-2 review. Let's get into it. All right, so first I'm just going to introduce the people who are on the show. It's Jiyeon, Yoonyoung, Jiyeon, Minkyung, Wongu, Yoosik, Woojin, Baekhyun. And when they first enter the house, we don't know who is whose ex. I found that Jiyeon, the girl who has ENTJ on her name all the way to the top left, I found that, like, to me, I was like, she's like the prettiest to me. Like when everybody came in, I was like, I think you're the most beautiful. Episode 1, like I said, is not like super memorable, in my opinion. Like, because it's really just like people are just like talking and introducing themselves to each other. But there is a segment of the show that's called Exogeso, which is where the exes read out loud letters that their exes gave to them about them. So like their exes introduce them, the person, through a letter, essentially. And during this exogeso like section, everybody always like cries and they're like blah blah blah. And people usually say similar things like, oh, this person was too good for me, or we didn't get along because of this or that or whatever. Hope they meet a better person than me, blah 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 blah. So we're just gonna skip past that because it wasn't super memorable in my opinion, especially not this year. So for starters, the first like kind of date mission that they have is that the girls get to choose like who they want to go on a date with, like which for Korea is very like a progressive thing, we can say. Men usually ask girls out, not the other way around. So we have Minkyung, who chooses Baekhyun, Yoonyoung, who chooses Woojin, Jiyeon, who chooses Wongu, and Jihyeon, who chooses Yoosik for their dates. None of them overlap, which is pretty interesting. Something that I wrote at the bottom, you'll see I said 추억 데이트 왜 없음, which means why is there no like memorabilia date, essentially. And like normally in the first episode or second episode, they usually make them go on a date with a new person, but the date is in a location that they went to with their ex. And so it's like you have to experience what you experience with your ex with a new person. And that's usually date number 1. But they didn't do that this year. And I honestly don't understand why, because it's like a lot of fun, in my opinion, to see them if they can like experience what they did with their ex with a new person or not. And the last season that happened, it kind of got a lot of flack essentially at the end of the season, because pretty much every couple, with the exception of one couple, by the end of the show, they got back together. So they were saying instead of transit love, it was reunite love, because everybody just got back with their ex, and there was like a lot of complaints. So I wondered if to like force the participants to really move on, they just took out that first date section. to whoever made that decision, that was a stupid decision. Bring it back for season 5. Thank you. That was my complaint here. Okay, they also do a thing called X presents, where basically you give a present to your ex back that they gave to you. So Jiyeon got back hand cream that she gave to her ex, and which was interesting, even though like since she came on the show, Jiyeon, this one girl, has been like, I'm moving on, my ass is moving on. But she got back the hand cream and like she started crying. I was like, okay, interesting. Minkyung got back a 1,000-day letter, like congratulation letter that she wrote to her ex about like just like congratulations for 1,000 days in our relationship. Now in Korea, they do the interesting thing where, you know how like in the US, I'm from the US, right? In the US, you count your anniversary by year. It's like 1 year anniversary, 2 year anniversary. In Korea, they do it by days. So it'll be like 10-day anniversary, 100-day anniversary, 1,000-day anniversary, 2,000-day anniversary, like that. So that's why it's a 1,000-day congratulations letter. And like the idea of like writing a handwritten letter to people is like very important. It's like something that people very often do, and people find that there's a lot of meaning. I think this is like something very cultural. So when she got that back, she was just like, I had like hateful emotions towards my ex. Or whatever. Like it just, reading that made me realize how much I liked him. In the letter, she called him from your little cutie. No, she called herself from your little cutie, Minkyungi or whatever, which I thought was pretty cute. Woojin got back a couple dolls that he had with his ex. They were like 2 tiger dolls. Their names were Hodori and Peksuni. So I thought those names were pretty cute. Yoonyoung got back a couple ring. Wongyu got back a hoodie tee that was given to him for his birthday from his ex, but then he gave it back to his ex like a year or so-ish after their relationship ended, because it was out of consideration for the money she spent on it, and because she was job hunting, he was like, he wanted her to have like something to use since he knew she wouldn't have like a ton of expendable income essentially. But I was thinking in my head, if like after a long time of not seeing someone, you give someone back the present that they gave you, wouldn't they think you're trying to get back together? Yoosik didn't open his package. Baekhyun opened his package and he got back the letter he wrote to his ex asking to break up. He couldn't call her. He couldn't go outside to a cafe. He hand wrote a damn letter saying, let us break up. That's saying like how he regretted saying all these awful things, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I was like, wow, okay, let's calm down. And then Jiyeon didn't get anything back, bro. I was livid, bro. I was like, who would break up with this beautiful woman and give her nothing? I was livid. Next to, so we have day 1 messages. So every night, every night in the house, you are supposed to text someone who made your heart flutter that day. So Jiyeon got 0, unfortunate, because she's my favorite girl. We just know that Yoosik didn't get a text from his ex. By the way, after not getting a text from his ex, he immediately started drinking soju, which is like Korean alcohol, like a depressed man who needed to go to AA. Baekhyun didn't get any messages. Woojin got 2 messages. Yoonyoung got 2 messages. Wongyu got 1 message. Jiyeon got 0 messages. Minkyung got 2 messages, and her ex did send her a message. So there is that. All right, so we're gonna get to the first incident. I've been calling all of these sakkon, like, which is like incident or whatever in Korean. And every time like a big important thing in the show happens, I just call it like so-and-so incident or whatever. So I'm calling this the chatting room incident. So the show does a segment every year where you can go into a chatting room and it's anonymous. So like it's just between 2 people in the room. The messaging room is one participant can text another participant. Usually all the women go in there together to ask each other before they do their first date, like, oh, what about so-and-so? Like, do you know about your ex so that you can tell me so I can like have a good date, essentially. So essentially the chatting room is a place where a person going on the date with this other person can ask about said other person's ex, can ask for information about said other person's ex. And I'm not going to talk about all of them. I'm only going to talk about Jiyeon's chatting room because it was the only one that was actually interesting. So Jiyeon was really going at it with whoever was the ex. She was going crazy. She was asking a bunch of questions. And the ex was basically not having it. Like, she was fully not happy about the fact that Jiyeon, this is Jiyeon, by the way, was asking a ton of questions. And so basically, like, Jiyeon was like, oh, like, what kind of person is your ex or whatever? And the ex was like, that's the first sentence. I'm translating what the first sentence says here. My ex is nice to everyone, so people misunderstand his actions a lot. Guys, what does it mean if she says this? My ex is nice to everyone, so if he's nice to you, don't misunderstand. Because it doesn't mean he likes you. He's nice to everybody. Already we can see that the ex doesn't want any other girl near her man? Her ex? Her man? I don't know. Like, already you can tell that she's like on guard, right? And then Jiyeon continues to ask like more questions, right? She's asking more questions. What is he like? What's a good day for him? Blah, blah, blah. And the ex, at some point, she gets annoyed and she's like, if you're curious about more things, don't hold yourself back and ask him yourself. And I think that would make you feel more comfortable. Bro! The way I heard like boy, 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 boy go off in my head when she said this, I was like, oh, this bitch does not want to tell you anything, bro. Like, she is hung up, bro. Like, I was like, wow. She was being really petty in that chat for no reason. And then Jiyeon asked her, right? Jiyeon, who has an amazing picture here, by the way. Jiyeon asks her, right? She's like, oh, like, when do you think he has been like the happiest or whatever? And then the ex is like, I think he was the happiest when he was with me. When he was with me, he was the happiest. What? And then she follows it up with, I just think that when he's with someone he likes, it's just always a happy moment for him. Girl. Girl. Are we serious right now? Girl. And so then Jiyeon, because she sees how this girl has been acting throughout the chat, right? This girl has been acting crazy the whole chat, essentially, right? So Jiyeon responds to her, oh, during our date today, I will try to make him happy then. So, like, she's not losing in terms of whatever this energy is either. She's not, like, backing down. And then they reveal, like, during this segment, they basically reveal who Jiyeon was talking to. So remember, Jiyeon is going on a date with Yoosik. So she's talking to Yoosik's ex. So they reveal that Yoosik's ex is Minkyung. Now, what is crazy about this? What is crazy about this is Minkyung basically in like the beginning of episode 1, episode 2, the whole episodes or whatever, she was like, I want to meet someone new. Whatever. No regrets. I'm going on my own way. Whatever. But in this chat room, she was so defensive that there can be no way she's actually interested in meeting someone new, in my opinion. Like, this is someone who, whether she likes it or not, wants to get back together with her ex. So there is that. So that was basically how episode 2 ends, where they show that Minkyung was the ex, which is shocking considering the fact that she was acting like she was ready to move on. She was ready to find a new man. but clearly she's not. So, all right. We are moving smoothly on to episodes 3 and 4. Okay, so they start episode 3 by basically explaining what Minkyung and Yoosik's, like, what their story is and, like, why they broke up. So it turns out they dated for 9 years. 9 years. So they started dating in 2017 and they ended their relationship in 2025. So they met in high school and they dated into like college essentially. And they had like really cute relationship. They went on trips together. They were always happy. Things were great. But the reason that the relationship broke down, according to Minkyung mostly, is because Yoosik was working like as a freelancer. And as a freelancer, right, you can't really reject work because then it means like less work will come in because you can't control when work comes and when work doesn't come. So when you get work, you just have to keep on working. And so as he was taking this work in, like he was really, really busy. So they didn't have a lot of time to meet. And Minkyung was feeling kind of, I guess, like neglected. And she felt kind of frustrated that they couldn't meet. So there was one day where they met and like they met up. It had been a long time since they met up, right? The day that they broke up, it had been a long time since they met up and they agreed to meet up. So they met up and he was tired. So he was like, oh, can I just sleep for 10 minutes? She was like, sure. He went to sleep for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes exactly, Minkyung woke him up, right? Because it's like, it would be a waste of time if you keep sleeping and they don't get to do anything because they never get to meet up. And then when Yoosik woke up, he was like, well, can I just sleep for 30 more minutes? And then that's when the fight broke out. And he was basically like, oh, like I need to like establish my position like well for us to like have a future, right? But she was like, I feel like I'm being like neglected or pushed aside for everything. I feel like our values are different because I feel like for me, over like prioritizing like those things, you'd be prioritizing our like relationship. And he felt frustrated that she couldn't like understand like why he was choosing to do what he was doing. So he was like, oh, like I have to establish myself so that the people around me can be happy through the power of economic stability, right? But she was like, I'm the one who's next to you right now, and I'm not happy at all. That's when like she met with him and she was like, I just think we should break up. And he was like, okay, fine. So you'll see to the right that there are these clocks, right? I've been calling them time slip clocks. I don't really know what they call them in the show. I forget. And the time slip clock is a clock that tells you like which direction time is flowing for the person in question. So if there's more white on the clock, it means that you want to move on. And if there's more brown on the clock, it means that you want to get back together. On Yoosik's clock on the left, sorry, it's 70% I want to get back together. But on Minkyung's clock on the right, it's 70% I want to move on. So they're both 70%, but in the opposite directions, which is kind of funny in its own way. So I was like, but the thing is, in the chat room, she was acting crazy. So I like don't feel like this 70% I want to get with someone new is actually truthful. Because like she was so defensive in that chat. So I don't believe this. I believe that she believes she wants to get with someone new, but subconsciously she wants to get back together. Do you understand? Like, I think that day when they broke up, she just said, let's break up to see what his reaction would be, but he accepted it. And then that was the end of that. So in this next part of the show, now we have the girls' pickings. The girls go on the date with the guys they picked. We have Jiyeon and Yoosik, right? And so Jiyeon and Yoosik go on a date. It's cute or whatever, but they have their date at a like Korean barbecue place, which I don't love because I think like when you grill meat, like a Korean barbecue place, you grill like raw meat to cook it. And when you grill meat, food, the smell like gets on you. You know what I mean? And I feel like the smell of meat is not romantic. To me, I feel like Jiyeon was like, I had a great time. I had butterflies. Yoosik seemed to be like happy, I guess, whatever. Okay, next date. Now we're gonna talk about Minkyung and Baekhyun. Now Minkyung is a really short girl, and Baekhyun is tall like a tree. Their height difference is really cute. Like, it's kind of like heart fluttering, I guess. But yeah, Minkyung and Baekhyun go on their date. It's romantic. They have a K-drama moment where he ties her shoe for her because it got loose. She's wearing a skirt. So he was like, oh, like if you bend down, it could like expose, you know what I mean? It could expose her in some way. It could be uncomfortable for her. So he ties her shoe for her. I thought that was sweet. He like walks her inward on the street. Like, it was very cute. I thought Baekhyun found her very like charming, and he like found her cute essentially. And I thought she had a good time. Okay, so Woojin and Yoonyoung, their date was cute. Yoonyoung is a girl who really laughs a lot. She smiles a lot. I've been calling her Sunshine Diva because she's super bright and she's super happy. And I think Woojin really liked that out of her. So I thought their date was cute. They made hats together. In Korea, they have a lot of places where like you can go and you can make things. Like you can go like make like perfume together, things like that. Like, there's a lot of great places for like having dates like that where you can like do arts and crafts essentially, which I think is pretty cool. Like the dating culture there. What else? And then afterwards they went to a wine bar. They seem to have a good time. Yeah, so Wonggyu and Jiyeon have their date. Like I said, she's sweet. She has like a reverse charm to her because she seems quiet, but she's not. Wonggyu is a weirdo. A weirdo that he seems like, it seems like he doesn't really know like what like etiquette is for like a date. Like he comes in and he ordered his own drink first. Like he didn't like wait for her and then was like, oh, let's order drinks together. He just ordered his own drink first and then waited, and then she came and then she got a drink too. And like, she just thought it was kind of funny. And then they like eat or whatever. Jiyeon, the girl, seems extremely into him, and Wonggyu doesn't care about her at all, in my opinion. Like, Wonggyu seems grateful that she likes him, but I think that's where it ends, at least at this point in the show. The night deepens. They come back from their dates, right? And they're all gathered around like the living room table. They're sitting together, right? They're drinking, they're whatever. There's like not really couples Jenga, but there's a Jenga that is there that they can play where like you pick up a piece and the piece has like a challenge on it that you have to do, and you have to do it or you have to drink. Essentially, you can consider it like a drinking game. So Jiyeon picks up a Jenga piece and she gives it to Yoosik, and the piece says, sit next to someone of the opposite gender, like right now. And because all the guys were sitting together and the girls were sitting together. So everyone's like, oh shit, blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, like I said, this is a more conservative culture. It's not like guys and girls are not sitting intertwined. It's like a big deal to get up and then sit next to someone who, like, of the opposite sex, because it would insinuate that you're interested in them or something or whatever. It's like it's considered like this big deal. They're like, oh shit, that's so crazy. And I'm sitting there like, okay. But I understand that in Korea, this is a big deal and therefore an important thing that he chooses to do. So he gets up and he sits next to Jiyeon and also next to Minkyung. He sits in between the both of them. And it's like crazy because he chooses to sit next to his ex and the person that he's been talking to the most. So it's kind of like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Stuck between old and new, blah, blah, blah. Then Jiyeon once again gets a Jenga piece, which she receives from Yoosik. And the piece says, whisper a secret into someone of the opposite gender. And she chooses Yoosik because she's right next to him and she's interested in him. And she secretly whispers in his ear, like, let's eat breakfast tomorrow together. Which Minkyung obviously hates. Like, I'm sorry. Like, she said she didn't care, but she does care. So because, in my opinion, she was clearly irked by what happened, I think that directly goes into the next incident that happens later that night. So after everyone's done drinking, talking, having a good time, they all get up, they're cleaning, they're putting stuff away. Usually going to this person, that person, being like, oh, like, do you need help? Blah, blah, blah. Like, let me help you out here, whatever. Like, he was asking everyone else what they needed and not paying attention to her. So it bothered her that he was acting like that, because it's like he was showing care for everyone else, but she's his ex. They were together for 9 years. And in her perspective, it felt like he wasn't trying to be considerate or care for her at all. Everyone kind of leaves. Essentially, they like did their part in cleaning and people leave. And there's a moment where it's just the two of them there doing dishes. And she turns to him and she goes, why are you acting like you're so nice and kind to everyone? And it's so crazy because like when she's on dates and stuff, she's like so cute. She's like this girl who looks like a tiny little idol doll like creature. And she turns to him with the most like sharp eyes in the world. And she's like, why are you acting like you're like all daddy and shit? Like, oh, if you really didn't care, none of this would bother you. But like 9 years, of course she cares. But she keeps saying in interviews, like, you know, when they do interviews in like shows or whatever, in the interview, she's like, oh, you know, I'm not jealous. I don't care. But like you do though, or else you wouldn't say this. So by the way, so she says this and he's washing the dishes. He's silent. He doesn't say shit back. And then that makes her mad more because she's like, he's just silent. He just finishes and then he leaves. That makes her more mad because she's like, I was annoyed that you were ignoring me and I showed to you I was annoyed and you continue to ignore me. I think in his perspective, he was staying quiet because they're in the kitchen, right? People can walk in and out of the kitchen at any time. If he responds to her and then they break into a fight, people will see and they will know that they're exes. Right now, you're not supposed to know who the other person's ex is. You're not supposed to know. So I think in his mind, hiding the fact that they're exes was first in priority over resolving whatever anger she felt towards him in that moment. I think, though, at the very least, instead of saying nothing, avoiding, and leave, I think it would have been better if he had at least said, can we talk about this later? Or are you okay? Do you want to talk later? Like just something really quickly. Anyways, so Minkyung the next day goes to Wongu, who's sitting in the garden, and she's like, want to go on a date? And he's like, okay, sure. Because she's like, well, I'm here to get to know people. I'm gonna go on a date with everybody. So this day she chooses to go on a date with Wongu. They go out to like a wine place or something. They're drinking and they're talking about like their exes and their ideal types and stuff like that. And they're talking about how much they loved their exes and how Minkyung is basically like, oh, like the way everyone talks about their ex, like I feel like they're all such good people and like we all loved each other. We loved each other so much, whatever. And Wongu, in the middle of this conversation, Wongu starts to cry. And then Minkyung goes, are you crying? And he's like, no. She's like, okay. Like, it was just a little bit awkward. They still had a bottle of wine left. And he was like, oh, we can continue to like drink and have wine at the Han River. Okay, so anyways, they go to the Han River. And they're trying to like talk, but Wongu sitting opposite from Minkyung, like behind Minkyung, he keeps seeing these ajumas doing a traditional Korean dance, like they're practicing traditional Korean dancing, and the dancing is just like, they're so intense about it, and it's just like funny to see them in the traditional clothes dancing that he can't take anything seriously. So every time he tries to talk, he can't focus, and so they keep on laughing because he keeps getting distracted. Then there's like this little kid flying a kite, but like the kite string bonks Wongyu's head and it like gets away from the kid, and then they have to help him get the kite back. And they're just like, there's just too much going on in this park right now. Let's just clean up and go. And so the date ends like that. Wongu, I think, had like a positive impression of Minkyung. I think they had a good time, but the date ends in such a weird and funny way that I don't know that it ends romantically enough for this connection to continue. Okay, so then the next thing that happens is that we have Yoosik, so this girl's ex, right? This girl's ex, Yoosik, is texted by production, and it's basically like they're like, you have to go meet someone at this location. He thinks that he's meeting his ex to finally have like a conversation with his ex. He's nervous, he's shaking, and then it turns out it was a new girl. This is Hyunji. This is a new girl who's in. Some exes enter the show without their exes being there. So there are some people in the house right now who don't have exes yet, which means this girl, being a new addition to the house at this point, she is someone's ex who's entering. So someone in the show up until this point didn't have their ex there, and now their ex will be there, which is obviously going to cause problems. I love Hyunji. She looks really great. Her energy is really fun. She, like, during the date with Yoosik, she sees how nervous he is and she tries to make him relax. He was like, I was so nervous, I literally didn't even remember what I said because I was literally shaking and I was freaking out. And she like saw him being that nervous and she thought it was cute. During this date that Yoosik is having with Hyunji, there's a separate date that happens at the bowling alley. It's like a group date. It's more like the people who didn't really have anything to do were basically like, let's go do something. So you have like Woojin, Jiyeon, Baekhyun, and Jiyeon, and they go bowling together. Jiyeon wanted Yoosik to come because like they're getting to know each other. They have good vibes, but he was called to go on the date with Hyunji. It turns out that the way they picked Yoosik to go on the date with Hyunji is Hyunji's ex was told to pick who she would like the most in the house for her to have her first date with. And then to the right, we have the picture of Hyunji coming into the house and being like, hey, blah, blah, blah. People message each other. It's not super interesting. Going straight to 5 and 6. All right. So at the beginning of episode 5, they tell you that Baekhyun and Hyunji are exes. Now, I would like to preface this with something. Baekhyun and this other guy, Yoosik, those two guys, ever since they entered the house, they've become best friends. Hyunji has gone on a date with essentially his best friend in the house. So already, problems. They dated 5 years ago, from 2018 to 2020. So for 2 years, they dated while Baekhyun was in the military. So for people who don't know, in Korea, all men have to do mandatory military service for 2 years. Like after you hit 18, you got to do it. No matter, there's some exceptions, but the exceptions are rare and few. Shout out to Faker, my goat, for being able to get excluded from military because he's really good at League of Legends. So, but anyways, Baekhyun is not Faker, so he had to go to the military. Ooh. When you're in the military, right, like you're separated. You can't be with your person all the time, like your girlfriend all the time. And it's really hard, but she dated him the whole time he was in the military. Also, she's older than him. I don't know by how much because they haven't revealed ages yet, but she is older than him. So it was a younger man, older woman relationship. He apparently wrote her letters every day he was in the military. There are 365 days in a year. If he wrote her a letter every single day, he wrote her 710 letters. I'm not reading all that. She said she didn't read all that. Okay, well, she didn't say she didn't read all that. She said she didn't respond to all of them, but she responded when she could. 710 letters? Damn. I think by the 200th letter, I would have been like, okay, we can calm down. Anyways, it shows how much he loved her. But then after he was discharged from the military, so he finished his mandatory military service. He got out. They were like, yay, we can finally be together. But then after he was discharged, like they were fighting every single day. Like every day they were fighting and they were like breaking up and getting back together like once a week. Like it was nothing, like sending a text to somebody, like waking up and going to sleep. And they were just like, they were in a really, what they described as an extremely passionate and emotionally involved relationship. It was like toxic because they couldn't stop fighting. There was one time where like she got dressed up really nice and she was like, oh, like I look pretty, right? And he was like, oh, there's lots of pretty girls in the street though. And so they fought. He was wrong for saying that. I think we can agree he was wrong for saying that. So the time slip clock says Baekhyun 100% wants to move on. He said in the interview, if you asked me to do a relationship that emotionally involved again, I would tell you, hell no. Like, I would tell you that I just could not do that. And then Hyunji was literally like 50-50. You can see the clock. She was basically like, I don't know what I want to do. Part of me remembers what it was like to be loved like that and wants that again. And the other part of me doesn't want to fight like that again. Can I be honest? Hyunji is not 50-50. Hyunji wants to get back together with this man. This man sucks, by the way. But Hyunji, the way she acts is not 50-50. She's just too prideful to say she wants to get back together with this guy, okay? She wants him to say that he wants to get back together with her. And it's a little bit frustrating because I'm like, if you just want to get back together, just say it. The flag isn't red. The flag is blood red. I'm dead, bro. I am dead. It's about to get hella messy. So Hyunji comes into the house. She gets to know everybody. Everybody's like, wow, the new girl is here. This is so crazy. Wow. And Baekhyun is sweating bullets, bro. He was so chill before. He was having a good time. He was flirting. He was living his best life. And now he's like, fuck, my ex is here. Abby, fuck, my ex is here. Bro, what did he think was going to happen on a show called Exchange? I think he thought he was going to be really cool. Bro is craning his neck like a he said, like, in the interview, he was like, I thought I was going to be really cool. Like, I thought it was going to be super chill. But then she came in the house and I don't know, I just started feeling weird. His ass is literally following her where she goes. Like, and so he's like walking around the house. He's restless. He's feeling stressed out. And then his best friend Yoosik is doing the dishes. And he goes up to Yoosik and he's like, what if you had a really dirty older woman girlfriend? I was like, what? Alexa play Noona no yeah, I'm dead. Yoosik goes, what's so dirty? Like, what's dirty about her? And then Baekhyun goes, like, the house. Like, there's, like, she doesn't organize and there's dust around the house. Yoosik is like, oh, but I like cleaning. Unless there's roaches coming out of the house, like, I don't think I would care. And then Baekhyun is like, but could you clean every day? And Yoosik is like, but I already clean every day, so... And Baekhyun is like, okay, but could you marry a woman like that? And he was like, or just dating. And then in that moment, like, Jiyeon, a different, like, contestant in the house, a different participant in the house, appears in the kitchen and the conversation ends. Here's what's so terrible about this. Oh, wait, let me read these. Baekhyun picked Yoosik for Hyunji to go on a date with. He is aware that Hyunji and Yoosik have something good going on. And it clearly makes him uncomfortable. And he goes up to the person who is showing interest in his ex. And he then tells him, what if you dated a dirty older woman girlfriend? One, it's a little bit weird to kind of say that out of nowhere. He's doing the dishes. All of a sudden you pull up and with this information. And it's a little bit weird to suddenly say that. We're not supposed to give away specific information right now. No one is supposed to know who is whose ex, right? And you're not supposed to know each other's ages. But, like, suddenly saying that when you have never mentioned anything like this before kind of gives away that your ex is here. Baekhyun is trash. You gotta shut up. I'm dead. Two, it also gives away ages. So you're kind of like leaking show information when you're not supposed to. Three, why would you talk shit about your ex like that? Like, she just got here. You know things are moving in a positive direction for her with this guy. And it just feels like you're purposely trying to sabotage that because you're stressed that she's here. It's just weird and a little bit disrespectful. They dated for 2 years, 5 years ago, but like he was like, she was the person that I loved the most in my life. You're certainly not acting like it, bro. Because he's messy and childish, aka he needs to stay single because he don't have the maturity to be in a relationship. But I agree. I felt like this was extremely immature. We could have kept these thoughts to ourselves. Or if he felt like he was stressed, thinking about this, like thinking about his ex or something, he wanted to talk to his best friend about it. Why didn't he wait until after Yoosik was done doing the dishes? Something I would like to mention is that while he was doing the dishes, they were not alone. It wasn't just like them two in the kitchen. other people were there. There's another person, Woojin. Woojin was also there while Yoosik was doing the dishes, and he asked this question. Other people were going back and forth in the kitchen. So it's like he was asking Yoosik this question, but everyone heard this conversation. He's shit-talking her. They don't know that he's shit-talking her specifically, but he is shit-talking somebody in front of everyone. And it's a bit strange. So that's that. Okay, so everybody stays up all night talking, laughing, whatever, drinking. People go to bed one by one, but Baekhyun is the only one who doesn't go to bed. And he stays up until like 4 or 5 a.m. And he has his headphones on, he's listening to music, and he takes out his ex Sogesol. He's reading it and he starts to cry. He starts to cry like crazy. He looks terrible and he looks crazy because he was acting so childish last night, but all of a sudden in the morning, while everybody's gone, he's reading this letter from his ex and he's sobbing his eyes out. It's like, it looks strange because the actions don't line up with his words. In the interview, he says his conclusion after crying and reading the letter was that he shouldn't let his feelings become noticeable to other people. Like, he has to hide his feelings at all costs, essentially. And that he won't get caught essentially being vulnerable. Which I was like, I don't know if that's the conclusion you should have come to after reading the letter. Maybe after crying and going through all that, the conclusion you should have come to is, I think I still have feelings for my ex. And then he puts away the letter. I guess he is still feeling kind of depressed. So last night, like when they were shopping and stuff, they went out shopping and stuff. And he was like saying like, oh, I want to make curry or whatever. I'm going to make curry. And so in the morning, he makes curry and then he like goes to sleep. He wakes up like 2-3 hours later. Everyone's downstairs, including Hyunji, eating the curry. They're all like, so delicious or whatever. And everyone, because Baekhyun last night was like, oh, I'm going to make this curry. I'm going to make this curry. Everyone assumes, rightly, because he did, that he made the curry. And so he goes downstairs and everyone's like, oh my God, thank you so much for making the curry. It's so good. And he's like, who? I didn't make that. He lies. And everyone's like, what? And he's like, no, it wasn't me. Magical curry. I'm dying, bro. Oh my God. So to eat this curry. In the interview, he was like, up until that moment, I hadn't cooked a meal for everyone like once, even though like I told everybody at the beginning, I'm good at cooking. I'm definitely going to cook for you guys. If after Hyunji came in, like I cooked, it would be kind of weird. Like he thought people would catch on to the fact that they were exes because he made the curry. I thought this reasoning was kind of dumb because last night you were going, but you like what you said. Okay, but why hype yourself up the day before? And then the next day he was like, it wasn't me. How does that make sense? You said that you would make it. I agree. 1 + 1 = 9. And Jesus parted the waters and their floating was a magical curry. Amen, ramen. I can't. Oh my God, I can't, bro. I can't. He's missing some brain cells. I think he's 21. You guys, fully, I think he's really young. Someone help. No, I need him to be young because if he's not young, I can't understand why his processing power is like this. Like, I don't. Why would anyone be, oh, he made curry. Hyunji is his ex. Like, where, how does that math align? Like, mathematically, logically, how do those two things come together? I don't get it. So Hyunji in the interview was like, when I first saw the curry, I thought it was him that made it at first, but then he said it wasn't him. And I felt better about it essentially because when I thought it was him, she was like, oh, I guess you're trying to look good to the other girls. But then since he said it wasn't him, she was like, oh, I guess never mind. So she was about to be like jealous, but then she wasn't jealous because it wasn't him, but it was him. And everyone kept asking around who made the curry, who made the curry. It's interesting because they never found out who made the curry. Obviously, everybody else was like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. So all of them were like, and so we never found out who made the curry. The end. Okay. Like, we move on. So Minkyung has been feeling frustrated that she hasn't been able to talk to Yoosik properly. And so she basically signals, she's like, come downstairs, let's talk. And she's basically like, why have you been staying up so late? He's like, what? And she's just like, are you having fun? And she like takes in a deep breath. She's like super upset. And she's like, are you having so much fun that like every night you're gonna stay up drinking like that? And he's like, oh, like I'm just like drinking, it's whatever. And she like continues, she's like, watching you spend time here, like you feel nothing is like hurting me. Then he's like, he gives a response that is very like a response you could only give if you're in a relationship with someone, where he's like, I mean, but I'm just drinking with my bro Baekhyun. She's like, that's like not what I'm saying. Like, that's not the point. And then she basically tells him, she's like, let's just sleep a little bit earlier. Weren't you somebody who sleeps a lot? Remember, the reason they broke up is because he kept asking her that day that they broke up, can I sleep for like 10 more minutes? Can I sleep for 30 more minutes? And I think like seeing him not sleep and stay up bothered her, because it was like, well, when we were dating, you couldn't spend more time staying up and make extra time for me, but now you're making extra time for all these people now that you're in your house, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's where it's coming from. But I agree with Ambi. Girl, he ain't your man anymore. Why do you feel like you need to dictate his actions? I love Minkyung. I think she's that girl. But in this one case, I think she was wrong. Like, I think it's fair to say, oh, like, I feel ignored by you in the house, which is, I feel like that's what she really meant when she brought up this conversation, when she brought up, let's just sleep a little bit earlier. But I think what she really meant is, like, we were together for 9 years and I feel totally ignored by you here. Like, you guys have to remember, they have only ever dated each other. This is the only person she knows, and he's acting like she doesn't exist. I hate this talking in circles and evading what they're actually trying to say. Subconsciously, the actual root of the problem that she is not consciously aware of is that she feels ignored by him. I mean, I can see where she's coming from. When they were together, all he wanted to do was sleep, and now they're now separated and suddenly has the energy to party and do fun stuff. This is what I mean. That's why I was like, okay, I do get you. I get her. I do think this was still wrong. She doesn't have the right to tell him what to do because they're broken up, but I understand like where it's coming from, why she feels hurt. She's been trying to talk to him, about if they're going to get back together or not, something, whatever. She's been trying to talk to him and he's been avoiding her ass. So like, she's telling him this, right? And he's like, I get it. Okay, I get it. I get it. And eventually she's just like, ugh. And she's just like, I'm leaving. Because she's like, I feel like we're not having a conversation. It's just me telling you what I've been trying to tell you and you not speaking back to me. Like, and so she just gets up and leaves because she's like, I feel like the conversation's not going anywhere. And that's basically how this ends. It's because he doesn't have anything to say, because now it sounds like nagging. I agree. It definitely sounds like nagging. Like I said, she doesn't have the right to tell him what to do. But I think considering the amount of time that they've been together, she does have the right to be frustrated with the fact that he is ignoring her and he won't talk to her. I think she can be frustrated with the fact that he is not engaging in conversation with her when she is trying to talk to him to figure like her feelings out. I think that is fair. Next one. So the next day we are continuing with free dates. Baekhyun and Yoonyoung. So everybody else in the house kind of goes on a date. Baekhyun and Yoonyoung stay home. Yoonyoung goes to Baekhyun and she's like, oh, do you want to go on a date? And he's like, oh, now, like, I haven't showered, like, and in my head I was like, but you could get ready? And she was like, oh, okay, what about tomorrow? And he was like, oh, tomorrow? And she was like, yeah, we can go like paint domas. I don't know what domas are. It seems like they're like wooden blocks that you can paint stuff on. And he's like, yeah, that sounds fun. And so since they're just at home together, they basically have like a cheap date or like a home date. And like he has these Twinkies and he dips them in chocolate and he makes chocolate cake out of them. And he's like, oh, it looks so good. I'm like, you put some chocolate over some Twinkies. Like, he's acting like he fucking made like Michelin star level food. I don't know why, but Yoonyoung, this girl, is super into Baekhyun. Girl, run! Yoonyoung is too good for him. She's really cute and super pretty and super like bubbly. She's like a really amazing person. I don't know why she likes this trash. Whatever. On the upper right, we have Wonggyu and Jiyeon. So they like go out to, what is it, like a restaurant or whatever. They have like a nice conversation. Jiyeon has fallen head over heels into this man. Like, and I honestly don't think Wonggyu gives a rat's ass. Like, I feel like Wonggyu is slowly starting to be moved. After this date, like he was moved by her a bit, like finally, but he is not into her as much as she is into him. Okay, so Woojin and Minkyung, they go paintball, some bear statues, and it's like a cute date. I think Woojin likes Minkyung more than he liked Yoonyoung on his date. But I don't know if he's like really, really into any girl right now. But I do think they had a good date. And then on the lower right, we have Hyunji and Yoosik. And they have like a nice conversation in the cafe. When they were at the cafe, they were like talking about Baekhyun. Like they were talking about Baekhyun actually, not like the ex and conceptually. They were talking about Baekhyun, and Yoosik was like, I think my ex would like Baekhyun the most. And this got Hyunji tilted because she wants to reunite with him. So obviously. And later they go to a Japanese restaurant, and Yoosik asks her a question like, between dating someone who did 10 short relationships versus one long-term relationship, who would you choose? And she chose someone who did 10 short relationships. And he was like, don't people normally prefer somebody who's been in a long-term relationship more? He was basically trying to lead her to the answer he wanted to hear, which was, I would rather a long-term relationship, because he has only been in one long-term relationship. And he was like, well, she picks someone who, like, if I don't change her mind, then when it's revealed that I have 9 years, like, maybe she will like me less. And he's into her. So he's trying to like lead her to the answer that he wants to hear because he feels insecure. He was like, oh, what if it's like 100 relationships versus a one-time long-term relationship? And she was like, I choose the 100 one. And he was like, fuck. And I'm like, she changes the topic because she wants to ask a new question to him. And she's like, oh, would you prefer like dating someone who's overly emotional or overly rational? And he still is talking about the 10 short relationships versus the long-term relationship. And she was like, hello? Are you even paying attention? Like, I just asked you this other question. And she was like, in the interview, she was like, I felt like he wasn't really paying attention, but I guess it was a good date. I was like, okay. So at the end of the night, today, we finally get to reveal some information. Jiyeon is a web designer. Wonggyu is a Korean traditional medicine doctor. Jihyeon is an acting instructor. Yoosik is a contemporary dancer. Yoonyoung is a fashion brand employee. Woojin runs his own restaurant. Hyunji is a flight attendant. Baekhyun is an actor. And Minkyung is a grad student who also teaches contemporary art dance sometimes. And she's studying contemporary dance. But she left out the fact that she's studying contemporary dance because she was like, well, if I tell people that, like, it might give away the fact that Yoosik and I are exes, because he told everybody he's working as a contemporary dancer. People who are involved in contemporary dancing, like, it's not a big world. Like, everybody kind of knows each other. So if everyone knows that I'm also a contemporary dancer, they're going to be like, exes. So she was like, oh, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm studying. Just know that I'm a grad student. So I thought that was really considerate of her. Wonggyu, Jiyeon texted each other. Yoonyoung, Baekhyun, they texted each other. Minkyung and Woojin, they texted each other. Hyunji texted Yoosik, and Jihyeon texted Yoosik too. And then Jihyeon received 0 texts. Minkyung, she got the 1 text from Woojin. Whatever. So that was day 4 texts. So moving on to the next dramatic incident. So everyone's drinking. Jihyun's literally sitting in the middle. She's like, I was listening to a song, and like, while listening to it, I was like sad or whatever. And then suddenly she bursts into tears. Everyone's like, oh shit, Jihyun is crying. And she just gets up and she goes upstairs. And people are worried. Like, Hyunji then goes upstairs after her. Hyunji, Baekhyun's ex, the one who sucks. And like, so Hyunji goes upstairs after her, and she enters the room. She sees Jiyeon crying, and then she also starts to cry. So now we got two bitches crying. They're both like, oh, it's crazy here, or whatever. Like, because Jiyeon suddenly bursts into tears, up until now, there hasn't been any like information on Jihyun's ex, but because she burst into tears, it made me think that Jihyun's ex has to be here. And Hyunji crying, I think a lot of people online kind of said like her crying out of nowhere is kind of crazy. They dated 5 years ago. But think about it from Hyunji's perspective. She entered the house. She finds out the guy that she was dating when he was an employee, he's now an actor. That makes her think he brought me here to promote himself, not because he cares about me. He is like acting very callous towards me. Like when we were dating, we had this really romantic, passionate, it was toxic, but we had a passionate relationship. And now I just feel like he doesn't give a fuck about me. So I feel like her tears are also justified because she feels alone, I think, in the house. She just entered. She doesn't feel cared for. I think in her mind, she thought there was a chance for reunification, that he still had feelings for her. He's not acting like he does, even though he does. And so it just makes everything weird. And I think that's where Hyunji's tears are coming from. I don't know why Jiyeon is crying because we have no real information on her and her ex. So, okay, after crying and all that with Jiyeon upstairs, and then Jiyeon's like, well, I need some time alone. She's like, fine, whatever. She goes downstairs. She rejoins everybody. She rejoins the group. And everyone is talking about how everybody, like, bit by bit is starting to have a hard time. Like, all of the participants are starting to have a hard time. And then Hyunji is like, oh, I'm curious about everybody's ex letters. You know, the letters that they use to introduce their ex. And your ex writes that letter for you, introducing you. And in the letters, they're always like, what a good person you were, how much I loved you in the relationship. Like, they always say stuff like that. And Yoosik mentioned when Hyunji's letter arrives, they should reread all their letters together. And then suddenly Baekhyun is like, oh, I threw it out. Everyone's like, what? And Minkyung is like, why would you say that? Your ex could be here. And then afterwards, he's like, oh, no, I have it. But it's like, it's such a rude thing to say. Like, why would you say that? And then afterwards, you'll see on the what's it called? On the right, there's a picture of Hyunji crying secretly in the closet. And that's how that episode ends. She just feels really kind of ignored and I think neglected by him. Like, she feels, I mean, just the fact that he would joke about throwing out his ex letter, I think shows how disrespectful he's been to Hyunji while she's been here. So I understand why she's crying. Like, I feel like she just feels like he doesn't even care about her as a person anymore. Like, he's not being respectful of the fact that she's there. So, and on top of that, she kind of want to get back together, which I think is also like linked into it, but it's whatever. Finally, we're reviewing episodes 7 and 8. Okay, so episode 7 starts and like there's a surprise chatting room that opens for the girls only. And there's like a person, like a mysterious person who is like talking to the girls. Like different girls are in the chatting room. And it turns out that it's the new catfish or like the newest participant. And his name is Jaehyung. So Jaehyung is the newest guy here. And after talking to different girls, he ends up talking with Minkyung. He feels like their talk was good or whatever. And so he ends up asking her on a date. And the way they're revealed to each other is there's like a wall between them. And they're like messaging each other on computers on opposing sides of the wall. And when he asks her out on the date, the wall like moves from like left to right in a sliding motion. It like reveals them to each other because the wall that's separating them just like disappears. And it's just like something out of a movie. And she's like extremely red. Like I've never seen her blush like that. Like she was blushing and extremely red and just like extremely just like shocked. And he was like, oh, I thought that was really cute or whatever. And she said she really like liked the fact that he just like was forward and just like asked her out. Minkyung, after talking to the newest guy who's going to come in, remember all the other girls, everyone in the house doesn't know the new guy is coming in. So Minkyung goes upstairs to get ready for their date. And she's like changing her clothes. She looks cute or whatever. And Hyunji and Jiyeon are looking at her and they're like, oh, you look like you're going out for a date. She's like, no, I'm going out for work or something. They're like, that looks like a date outfit. Like no matter how you look at it, that's a date outfit. And so like Minkyung leaves and Hyunji starts crying like in the room by herself because she thinks that Minkyung is going on a date with her ex Baekhyun. She's like crying because she's like, oh, my ex and my roommate, because Hyunji and Minkyung are roommates, don't forget. My ex and my roommate, they're going on a date together. I'm so sad. I'm so depressed, blah, blah, blah. People online kind of gave her shit. They were like, you guys broke up 5 years ago. Why are you crying so much? But I do kind of get it. Like I said, she's new. She clearly has leftover feelings for him that have not been resolved or like forgotten or whatever. On top of that, he hasn't been treating her well. So I think all of that together could make someone cry. Okay, so then we have the dates that happened. So remember that the day before, Yoonyoung and Baekhyun agreed to go out. So they painted their domas together or whatever, and they went out to a restaurant. They said they had a great time. They were like, hoo hoo ha ha, we match so well, we have fun, blah, blah, blah. Also, he's wearing like a bracelet. He takes off his bracelet and he puts it on her wrist so that she can wear it. And she like wears it back to the house, which I thought was a little bit crazy, but I was like, okay, whatever. And then we have Minkyung's date with the newest guy. And she tells him on the date, she's like, all the guys are passive in the house and you seem like the first guy who like asked us out actively. So I really liked seeing that, like, you seem like active, like you seem like you're going to be forward, like you're going to be direct, because all the guys in the house are passive as fuck. And I just like love that she called them out for being wimps and for not being able to just like go and ask someone out, which is extremely frustrating. So Jiyeon goes into Wongyu's room. So for context, Jihyeon, and Wongyu, okay? So this girl here, she walks into the room, she sits down, she's like, did you eat? To him, he's like, yeah, whatever. They have this conversation, and then all of a sudden he goes, oh, you're still using honorifics with me. And she's like, aren't we supposed to use honorifics? So the minute he said, oh, you're still using honorifics with me, that's how you know these two are exes. They just revealed that these two are exes in the most strange way. Like all of a sudden, they're having this conversation about like how they're doing when this girl knocks on the door. This girl is the girl who's really interested in him. Jiyeon has been really interested in Wongyu this whole time. And so she's always going into his room and being like, blah, 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 I like you, date me, whatever. She's always following this guy. So she knocks on the door, she opens it. She's like, hey, what are you doing? Jiyeon hears that she knocks on the door and she hides behind this pillar. And Wongyu is standing here watching her, and she is watching her trying to not get seen. Like, I'm watching a drama. What's interesting about this situation is that in front of Jiyeon, you can't see this in the screenshot, but in front of Jiyeon, there's like a mirror directly in front of her. So if Jiyeon just looks, even if she just like turns her eyes a little bit, like she should see the mirror and the mirror should reveal Jiyeon. So in my eyes, in my opinion, there is no way that Jiyeon did not see Jiyeon hiding here. But anyways, she talks to him for a bit and she leaves. And then the two of them continue their conversation. Jiyeon is just like, Jiyeon like continues to ask him like, oh, is that the girl who like bought you something or whatever? He's like, yeah. And Jiyeon is like, oh, did you buy her coffee? And he's like, I can't tell you that. And she's like, oh, I guess it's transit love. It's transit love indeed or whatever. Like, she just goes bye and she leaves. Like, they have a conversation. He asked her, like, why did she cry? She's like, for different reasons. I'm not going to tell you exactly why. He goes like, why do you make me so annoyed? He's not someone who says that. Like, his character on the show has been like very quiet and like weird. Like, but he showed like a kind of, I guess, more manly, not really manly, but more like just like she just showed a different side of himself that people hadn't really seen. And so it was like, I don't know, it was kind of a reversal. And the fact that this even happened is just like kind of crazy. Then later, she goes to her room to like rest, and Woojin comes in and he's like, is anyone here? So he's also speaking without honorifics. This is how we find out that these two are also exes. Now, this was a huge surprise to me. I thought Woojin's ex was not here. fully. Like, I was like, oh, she hasn't come in yet. That's genuinely what I thought. So I was pretty surprised that, like, she was here. And then, like, pretty much immediately after, they reveal, like, their ex story. So those two dated from March 2024 to March 2025. So exactly for 1 year. Jiyeon met him since he was working at her friend's store. And when she saw him, she was like, oh, he's my type. I'm gonna give him my number. And then that's basically how they started dating. And she was like, oh, he was always there for me when I had hard times. Like, my dad died and he spent a lot of time with me, staying up with me, even though he was busy and stuff. And so considering that he was there for her in such a hard time, it's like, well, why did they break up? And so the point of conflict was that these two had very opposing schedules. So Jiyeon was an office worker. And so that means, like, she works during the weekdays, but she rests on the weekends. But Woojin works at a restaurant, right? He was opening a restaurant. For him, as a restaurant owner, weekends are the busiest and weekdays are kind of when he can rest. So their schedules are bad, essentially, for organizing dates. Like, it was difficult for them to organize dates and organize time to spend with each other. And so in the beginning, he worked really hard to meet up with her and things like that. They worked really hard to meet up with each other. Like, she stayed up all night and made, like, really elaborate lunches for him, things like that. But then when he was opening his business, he got really, like, stressed, always trying to, like, meet up with her. And he was like, something that he said was "내가 놀아," which is like, do I, like, play around? Like, why can't you be understanding of that? But in her position, she felt really frustrated. There was one time where he had his weekends, they were free. She assumed, right, that they were going to meet. And so she called him and she asked, oh, when should we meet? But he was like, oh, I already have a meeting scheduled with, like, a different friend. But she was like, oh, like, I thought because you finally have a free weekend, obviously we would meet. And he was like, why would you assume that my weekends are yours? Don't assume that. Like, just because I have a free weekend doesn't mean that that weekend belongs to you. Yikes. That's a terrible thing to say to your girlfriend who is working overtime to spend time with you. Her schedule also doesn't match with yours. You didn't have to say it to her like that. So she was really upset, and she had been, like, building up this frustration in her for a while. So she met up with him at a cafe, and she just, like, while crying, told him how hurt she had felt about everything and, like, about how she felt, like, lonely and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, we were there. People were watching and she was crying. And so I was like, I realized that I was wrong. But I thought it was interesting that he specifically mentioned that people were looking on, because it felt like to me that he felt that he ended up saying sorry because he wanted people to stop staring at them because his girlfriend was crying. Like, he didn't want to be seen as the bad guy in the public. He didn't want to be seen like that. So he was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll do better. I'll work harder, is what he said. He said that he would try harder to, like, make her feel less lonely. But then the next day, even after having that talk, she wakes up and she was like, I woke up and I felt, like, so lonely. And she just felt like that their conversation didn't actually mean anything, and that the same issues would repeat. So she called him and she broke up with him over the phone. So you can see here that Jiyeon basically almost 100% wants to move on. And Woojin says he mostly wants to move on, but he is, like, way more open to reconciliation compared to her. And so that's kind of, like, their ex story that's revealed. Later, Jiyeon decides, like, she should really talk to him more. Like, she owes him more of an explanation on why they broke up, considering the fact that she broke up with him over the phone. So later, when there's time, she pulls him aside. They go to the terrace. There's a terrace in this house. They go to the terrace. I feel like I've been too selfish, only, like, focusing on, like, what I want. I haven't given us a chance to, like, talk about, like, what happened. He's like, yeah, tell me, like, why did you do that? I thought that we resolved everything, like, the night before. And he was like, oh, was that not resolving things to you? And she was like, no, to me, it wasn't resolving stuff, because it just felt like the same things were going to happen again. But while she kept on trying to explain herself, he kept on cutting her off. Like, he kept on interrupting her. And like, it made it hard for her to speak. Remember, she's kind of a soft-spoken kind of person. So him kind of overpowering her like this made it really difficult for her to kind of speak up. And at one point he was like, I'm sorry if you take this the wrong way, but basically you saying that over the phone after we made up, it felt like to me you were throwing a temper tantrum. And she was like, how could you say what I said was a temper tantrum? Like, how could you call that a temper tantrum? Like, I spent so much time thinking about what to say to you, thinking about how to explain how I felt to you for so long. I like held all of those negative emotions in before bringing that up to you. And she was like, most importantly, while dating you, I was so lonely. Like, I was so lonely. And then she gets up while crying and she's like, so just so you know, I have no intention of getting back together with you. And she leaves. To be honest, the way he spoke to her, it was just so cold. It's like, he said she was throwing a temper tantrum. A temper tantrum for expressing how she felt? Just, I get the to you, like the night before you guys spoke, you said you would try. Something that he said that bothered me was like, I told you I would try, but did you watch me try? You didn't even give me time to see if I would change or not change. I found it really frustrating because it was like, but the next day she woke up and she felt like things wouldn't be different. Like, in my opinion, if you said you were going to change, then that same night when you guys had the conversation, you should have gone home with her. You should have spent the night with her. Like, I think the fact that she woke up alone and it was the same situation, you were at the restaurant and she was waiting for you, made her feel like it's the same shit. I woke up and it's the same damn shit. Like, I feel like that's what it was. Like, at the end of the day, these two had opposing schedules and the opposing lifestyles, and that just makes it really hard for a relationship to work. If I can never see you, are we really dating? She didn't sign up to be in a long distance relationship. And as much as he was there for her, the fact is that in the interview, she said, like, originally he said, oh, no matter what, my rest days, my weekends or whatever, whenever I have a rest day, those days will always belong to you. Like, they're always yours. But then afterwards, when she assumed that one of his days that he could like rest or one of his free days that he had, she assumed that it belonged to her because he said that. And he was like, why would you assume it belongs to you? Don't assume that my time is guaranteed to be yours or whatever. So it was just like a change in attitude. Like, in the beginning of their relationship, he said everything for you. But then like within a year, it was totally different. And it was like, don't tell me what to do. So from her perspective, like, he changed so fast and it only been a year. Like, how much longer should she wait to see if he changed? Like, I mean, he changed so fast and in a bad way. So should she really watch to see if he does better when he had already said so many mean things to her? I kind of understand where she's coming from here. So later that night, Woojin comes downstairs. Jiyeon comes downstairs. These are two people who are both kind of interested in reuniting. And everyone's downstairs and they're just kind of quiet. And Baekhyun's like, why is everyone quiet? And Jiyeon's like, I don't know. And they just kind of start talking about, like, people are having a hard time. And people are talking about the possibility of reuniting with their exes. And Baekhyun is like, why would you come here and reunite? You could just do that outside. He's like, well, if you really wanted to reunite, you could just contact someone outside. Why come on the show? You come on the show to meet someone new, not to reunite. Bro, you are the source of all evil. You know what? Based on what he said, you can meet a new person outside. Why come on the show to meet a new person? You can't go to a bar? You can't ask a friend, hey, yo, I want to like be set up with a girl. You could, there's so many things you can do. Sogeting, you can do so many things outside to meet someone new. Why are you here? Shut the fuck up. What? I wanted to slap this guy so bad. And the thing is, it's so disrespectful for him to say that in front of all these people who are here because they're interested in reuniting with their exes. Like, you come on this show because if you broke up with your ex in a really bad way, for example, Woojin and Jiyeon, right? Jiyeon broke up with him over the phone. She told him not to contact her again. So even if he wants to get back together, if he's constantly calling her saying, I want to get back together, that makes him a stalker. But if he says, hey, I want to do the show, do you want to come on the show? And she says, sure, then they consensually choose to do the show. He has a chance to see her again and potentially get back together with her, change her mind. You understand? Sometimes some people need an excuse to meet up with someone and reunite with them. And sometimes people need sometimes people are unsure and they just want to see like who you are right now to decide if they want to reunite. Sometimes you just need someone to make a situation like this to make certain things possible that are not possible outside. Continuing, so at the beginning of episode 8, Jaehyung, the new guy, comes in and he comes in with Minkyung. They're like, everybody, we're on a date today. This is the new guy, Jaehyung, whatever. This makes Yoosik, which is Minkyung's ex, go kind of crazy. And like, because like he's seeing him, he's sizing him up, he feels insecure. He goes upstairs and he starts washing his hair. The reason why this is bad is because everybody is downstairs, waiting for Yoosik to come down so that Jaehyung can officially introduce himself to the group, because he was like, I'm wearing a hat. I'm not freshened up. Like, I don't look good. And like, he feels insecure in front of the new guy and he wants to basically look better than him. Wonggyu goes upstairs. He also changes his shirt. The two of them talk about what they think about the new guy, that they feel like he's very direct, that they feel like he's very forward. It's interesting. They're both like so scared of this new guy for some reason. So Jaehyung introduces himself. He's like, hey, I'm a barista. I'm interested in starting my own coffee brand. So that's his job. We have day 5 messages. I'm not going to go over all of the messages. I only want to talk about one message that was received. So Jiyeon's ex, Woojin, he texted Jiyeon that night and he was like, he just texted her, I'm sorry. It felt like that I'm sorry contained like a lot of different potential meanings to it. And like just seeing that made Jiyeon like burst into tears. And so she just like kind of got up and she went upstairs. So later, Hyunji is feeling upset about how Baekhyun has been treating her, right? So she signals to Baekhyun that she wants to talk on the terrace. So they go to talk on the terrace. So we have Hyunji here and Baekhyun here. And Hyunji goes into the terrace and she just breaks into tears. And she's like, it feels like it's your house. Like, you're so comfortable here. You know, I feel like you don't care about me. Like, she's trying to express her feelings to him. And suddenly he's like, oh, be quiet, because he sees that Yoosik is going back and forth around here looking for him. Yoosik basically tries to open the door. And he holds it at first, but then he opens the door and he tells Yoosik, oh, I just want to be alone for a minute. So Yoosik leaves. And then Hyunji is just like, whatever, I hate you, you suck. Same. And then Baekhyun is like, okay, do you want to meet later? We can meet later at 3 a.m. It's like 1 a.m., by the way. And he asked her, he's like, later, come meet me downstairs at the front garden. Meet me at 3 a.m. so that we can talk, like, properly. And she's like, okay, fine. 3 a.m. comes, okay? She walks her ass down to the front of this yard. It's cold. It's fucking Korea. It's cold. She waits here. 20 minutes go by. This man does not show up. What? She didn't even ask to meet him. He asked to meet her. So obviously she's mad. She goes upstairs to Jiyeon, who's also her roommate. She's like, he's crazy. He asked to meet me at 3 a.m. He didn't show up. And Jihyun's like, why? And she's like, I don't know. And Jihyun's like, go tell him. Are you crazy? And she's like, should we go look for him or whatever? So the two of them get up and they start walking around the house trying to see who is in whose room. Eventually they come across Baekhyun and he's sitting with a group of people just like talking. Baekhyun says in the interview, his excuse was, people were coming in and out of my room and there wasn't a good timing for me to leave. So I just ended up not being able to leave. To make her wait and then use that as an excuse is so unbelievably disrespectful. I can't understand this man. He cries over her reading a letter, but then he says he threw away his ex letter. And then he asks her to talk more in depth at 3 a.m. But then he stands her up. What do you want, bro? Tell me the truth. What do you want? Hey. Okay, so next morning, people are getting ready. Whatever. Yoosik knocks on Minkyung's door and he's like, do you have the vacuum cleaner? She's like, no. He starts leaving. She's like, oh, wait, later, could we like talk? Remember, Minkyung, just like Hyunji, has been trying to talk to her ex, talk things out, talk out her complicated feelings, whatever. But downstairs, Yoosik hears Jiyeon coming in. So while Minkyung is talking to him, he just ignores her and walks down the stairs. Like in the middle of her sentence, she's like, oh, later, could we? And he just goes, wee, and he goes down the stairs. So this is what I mean when I say a pattern of avoidance. Like every time she tries to talk to him, it's silence or it's I'm leaving. He never tries to organize a secret way to talk to her. But he said he really wants to. He's the one who said, I 70% want to get back with her. But he doesn't act like he wants to get back with her. He acts like he wants to meet a new person. And then Minkyung seeing this is like, oh, this is so annoying or whatever. And she goes back into her room. So then after Yoosik comes back from upstairs, he goes back to his room. Remember, Yoosik never opened his X package. So he's basically like, I need to open the package so I can get a hold of my own emotions. And also because I want to figure out what Minkyung is thinking. So he opens the package and the thing that Minkyung returns to him are shoes, which he bought for her on her birthday. And he said, like, oh, these shoes were like, it was out of all the presents I gave her, these shoes were her favorite present. So her giving the shoes back to me means that she's saying goodbye to all of our happiest moments that we spent together. So basically, it means that I should move on. What? It just feels like he wants to move on, but he doesn't want to say that he wants to move on without... I feel like he's scared of being seen as a bad guy for wanting to move on. So it's like he's looking for ways to put it on her. That it's like, oh, she shows no intention of reuniting, therefore I should move on. You know what I mean? Like the onus is on her, not on me, because she's telling me that she wants to move on through all these other ways. But you don't talk to her, bro. She's been trying to talk to you for 5-6 days now. You don't talk to her. Instead of opening your X package and deciding that by yourself, why don't you talk to the person in question who's literally like upstairs and just ask her, like, what are you thinking? Like, are you interested in getting back together? What is it that you want? Organize a time and talk in secret. It cannot be that hard. These people go to sleep. Everybody in the house goes to sleep eventually. The breakdown in communication, I guess, is why you broke up. Like, whatever. Anyways. So we have a new segment of the show that opens up, and it's called 단체 talking room. So in the room is like, it's like a group talking room you can go in. So all of the girls will go into an individual room and multiple guys can call them, but the guys will be calling them anonymously. So multiple guys will call like one girl anonymously. They will all be on the line at the same time. And basically they can anonymously ask the girls like questions and stuff to get to know them better. That's the idea behind the room. So first we're going to talk about Yoonyoung's talking room. So Yoonyoung had Wongyu and Jaehyung call her. Now, I've been suspecting that Jaehyung is Yoonyoung's ex. I don't think more people are going to come, so that's what makes me think that they are exes. And Wongyu said he called her because he felt like she was showing interest in him, which I don't know when he would have seen that. She's all about Baekhyun. Even in the interview, she's like, I really hope that it was Baekhyun who came into my talking room. So, what? But anyways, and then I think it was Jaehyung who asked her, but I'm not sure. Someone in the room asked her why she broke up with her ex, and she said it's because their values didn't align. But in the interview, she said, I answered simply, our values didn't align. But, like, to be honest, it was a really hard question to answer. But that was the only way I could summarize it. Okay, so next we have Jiyeon's talking room. So Jiyeon got one person in her talking room, which I thought was interesting. And the one person was somebody no one expected, which is Baekhyun. Baekhyun and Jiyeon up until now have had like zero contact, essentially. Nothing has really happened between them. So it was really weird that he called her and he was like, he said the reason I called her was because I felt like she was having a hard time. She seems like she doesn't talk a lot in the group or whatever. So he called her to ask her how she was doing. And he was like, oh, what's your mood today out of 10? And she was like, 8. And he was like, oh, like that's different from what I was expecting. And he was just like, oh, everything that like I thought wasn't true. So I don't know. To me, it was kind of weird that he called someone that he has no interest in just because he wanted to see if she was okay. When Jiyeon has been going around telling everybody, like, I hope my ex doesn't pay any attention to me. And she goes around being like, I don't want to reunite at all. She's been showing that she's quite happy. She is in a better place compared to other people. So I don't really understand where he got the idea that she was having a hard time, unless he saw her crying in the group before, which is the only way I could understand that. I don't know. This was weird. Next room. So we have Jihyun's talking room. There are 3 guys who call her. So we have Jaehyung, the new guy, Yoosik, and we also have Wonggyu, who is her ex. So 3 guys call her. Jaehyung and Yoosik ask her questions. Wonggyu just like listens. One person asks her like if she's open to reuniting, and she's like, she came into the show open to reuniting, but it's her desire to reunite with her ex has gone down since she spent time here. Yoosik asked her why she broke up with her ex, and she said they had like realistic issues in their relationship, and she also felt like her ex didn't love her sincerely, which Wonggyu reacted to very poorly. He was like, what? So after she says that, they reveal their ex story. Okay, so Jiyeon and Wonggyu, they dated for a little bit less than a year, 11 months, from August 2023 to June 2024. They met through being introduced via like mutual friends. And they had like a really fun relationship, but they were very serious kind of about getting married. Like Jiyeon said, like, this was a person who made me seriously think about marriage. And they even had like, she even had Wonggyu meet her mom, stuff like that. But in the middle of their relationship, like Jiyeon at this point kind of had given up on acting, and she was pursuing being an announcer. So she was studying to be an announcer. And she was having a hard time with that. And Wonggyu around him had a lot of friends who, in Jihyun's words, married well. Married well here means married rich, okay? Married with money. So for example, something that Wonggyu said that to her that like continued to bother her was that he was like, oh, I have a friend and his wife opened up a clinic for him. And she was like, are you expecting me to do that? And he was like, no. But just the fact that he said that made her feel like really insecure and like small. And like from Wongyu's perspective, he felt like she wasn't giving her all studying for the announcer exam. Like she was kind of doing this or that. Like, and she was not as locked in or like as worried about it as he would have been if he had to like study for something. Like he felt like she was not taking being an announcer seriously. And so because of that, like they disagreed about things a lot. And so one time after like fighting on the phone, he like sent her a text and he was like, you used to be like super positive and happy or whatever and followed me around like a puppy, but now you're depressed all the time and I don't know what to do seeing you like that. And then she messaged back, it sounds like you want to break up. And he said, yeah, let's break up. So they broke up over text. I am rubbing my forehead so much right now. What the fuck are these people? You know what's crazy? I thought Wonggyu was the one green flag we had in the show. Like when they had their conversation in the room, I was like, Wonggyu is the one shining light. But it turns out he's trash too. All we have left is the new catfish. Hopefully Jaehyung is not bad. But I don't know, man. Right now, I want to tell all the girls to leave. Wrap it up. Don't pick anybody. There's got to be better fish out there. After finishing summarizing their ex story, the show returns to the talking room. Jaehyung asks Jiyeon if she is able to root for her ex with a new person. And she says she doesn't know about like rooting for them, but she believes there's someone here who can make him happier than she could have. And then she starts to cry. And it's pretty sad. Something that Wonggyu said in their ex story that I thought was weird was like, he was like, well, while dating her, I thought to myself, wouldn't there be a person who matches me better than this person? To me, that sounds like he's saying, you're not on my level because you don't have money. Maybe that's not what he meant, but that's how it comes off. We are on different levels. I'm a doctor, you're an actress, and I should meet someone who meets like my class level. That's kind of how it came off to me. But then once they broke up and she was like, I'm living my best life, he realized what he had and now he wants to get back together. Because you can see, if you look at their clocks, Wonggyu wants to get back together more than he wants to meet someone new. And Jiyeon wants to meet someone new more than she wants to get back together. So it just feels like after losing her, he regrets what he lost. He realized how good he had it or whatever, which I think is a bit weird. Moving on, we have Minkyung's talking room. So Woojin ends up calling her, which I thought was great because they did have a date and their date was really good and he did seem to like her on the date. So Woojin calls her and he's like, oh, why did you break up with your ex? And she said she felt like their futures didn't align, which is why they broke up. And so he asked her, like, do you intend to reunite with your ex? And she said originally she didn't want to, but being in this situation has her confused. And Woojin asked her, like, do you want to reunite more over not reuniting? And she's like, she thinks she's leaning towards meeting a new person, which she keeps saying, I'm leaning towards meeting a new person. I believe she wants to meet a new person, but subconsciously, I think she wants to resolve stuff with her ex. I do think there's a part of her that still wants to get back together. She wouldn't want to talk to him so bad if she didn't want to get back with him. I just feel like a lot of this is like, I'm lying to myself. So we have the last talking room, which is Hyunji's talking room. Woojin, Yoosik, and Baekhyun all choose Hyunji. So that's two new people and her ex who choose her. And Baekhyun chooses her because he was like, oh, she was crying on the terrace and I felt like she was saying stuff that was ambiguous and hard to understand. So I want to understand what she's thinking. So Baekhyun is just kind of listening while the other two people ask her questions. So Yoosik asked her, is there someone out of the new guys that you like? And she says, yeah, I guess. So, and then Yoosik asked her, like, did you text the guy that you mentioned that you're interested in? And she said, yes, they've texted each other. And Baekhyun is all like upset hearing this. You can see him. He's moving around on the phone. He's going crazy. He's like bubbling with like anger or whatever. And then Yoosik asked her like, oh, well, why did you break up with your ex? And she's like, there wasn't a specific reason. There were different issues that kept piling up. And she just felt like ending things are right. And then Yoosik also asked her like, if after coming in, has she cried? And she said she has cried, but she's not really sure why. And she's having a hard time. And then Yoosik asked her if her ex says he wants to get back together, how would she feel? And Hyunji says she would need him to say it more than once for her to feel moved by his desire to get back together. So then Woojin asked her if she has zero intention of getting back together with her ex. And she says it depends on her ex's actions. So then Yoosik asked her, are you interested in getting back together? And she was like, before entering, no, but now I'm pretty confused about what I want. And she doesn't know if it's to the point of getting back together, but she has complicated emotions, essentially. And she needs more time to decide, like, if this complicated feeling is a desire to reunite or not. So Baekhyun is listening to her answer all these questions, right? And he hangs up and he's like, after hearing what she said, I was pissed. And he was like, I'm mad because she was saying she has a new person that she's interested in. She's not interested in getting back together with me at all. She was crying last night just to mess with my feelings. So the time I spent calling her, I could have spent on a new person. It was all pointless. That's what he got from listening to that conversation. I don't understand how he came away with this conclusion. So that's how episode 8 ends. What is wrong with these men? Like, I'm so confused. I don't know how Baekhyun heard Hyunji saying, I'm confused need time to figure out what it is that I'm feeling. And when she doesn't want to get back with me at all and she's fucking with me, I don't know why Yoosik is like, Minkyung is not interested in getting back with me when he hasn't talked to her once. And he makes his conclusions by himself in a room while looking at a pair of shoes. I am deeply confused. Maybe they're best friends because they're both assholes. Like, I don't know what's going through their heads. Pablo 1, Pablo 2. This means stupid 1, stupid 2, okay? This is the stupid brothers. What's wrong with y'all? I need us to come together to critically think, okay? I don't understand how they are both coming away with the conclusion that their exes don't have any intention of getting back together with them when both of their exes have tried to talk to them, and they have either, in one case, he stood her up, and in a different case, he walked away. Most importantly, they haven't asked out a single girl while on the show. All the girls have asked them out. So they're not doing shit to get together with someone new. They're not doing shit to get back with their exes. This bitch wants to be an actor. Bro, you should have just done a BL instead. That would have been better for your image than this shit. Like, you look terrible right now. You should have just gone and kissed a man for 8 episodes. And literally, you would have had better press. And so many people would have been behind you. I would have been behind you. And you don't have to be a bottom. You can be a top. Like, maybe he has to film a BL now to recover his image. I don't know. So, fully, that's a full recap of episode 1 to episode 8. I am going to recap episode 9. So, if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, 구독, 좋아요 부탁드립니다. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys for episode 9. Bye! Bye, 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 bye.